Welcome to the Cast and Camo podcast, where we talk about hunting, fishing, and all things outdoors. Grab your fishing rod, put on your favorite camo, or just sit back and enjoy this week's topic. Cast and Camo begins now.
What up? What up? What up? What's going on, Eric?
Hi, Todd. How are you? What'd you do all week?
Worked. What did you do?
Well, I deer hunted.
How'd that go for you?
Not real good. I struck out this year because I was being a butthead.
Well, I think, we should probably explain what you mean. Well, you got skunked. Ultimately is what happened. You got skunked.
Yeah, I got skunked.
But you have been targeting a specific buck.
Yeah. But that's all right. I'll get him next year. Or I'll get him in muzzleloader. Hey, there we go.
Well, I was going to say you got skunked, but the season's not over yet for you.
That's true. It isn't. I got 7 days of muzzleloader season coming up.
8 days? Hi, Luna.
Yeah.
Can always count on Luna.
Yeah, it's 7 days. So it comes in December 8th, I think is our first day of muzzleloader season.
And ours, I don't know exactly the how long ago. I think it's a week or 8. I think it's 8 days. But I think it starts for us on the 30th this coming weekend. I think.
Oh, so you guys only have a week break before your muzzleloader comes in?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, normally I don't know that that's true, but with the way the weekends worked out this year, I think that's how it worked, how it did. I don't know.
Well, I think Minnesota has some really weird seasons and laws, to be honest with you. I have never seen so many weird laws in all my life. So,
yeah, go ahead.
I just think that like deer season, when you have a break in it, whether you have an antlerless deer season after your buck season, there should be at least a couple weeks break in between time. Because if you don't, your wives are going to kick you the hell out of the house for leaving dirty clothes, lay in the room, where my summer room is, and dirty boots and guns and, I think it's like a death sentence on us. We should be able to put them away and then get them back out 2 weeks later, That'll save me from getting killed.
Yeah. I can't decide. I have not decided because I haven't gotten any grief this year of being gone. So I don't know if that's a good thing or
it might be a good thing.
It might be a good thing. But it also could be a very bad thing. Like there might be some buttering up happening.
Oh, so what you're saying is she's building up steam.
Maybe.
And when the steam gets to the eye level.
Yeah.
I got it. No problem.
Maybe. Again, we'll find out. I don't know. More to come.
I can send you up a cot. I got one in the garage.
No, I got one of those. We're starting off. Well, completely off track, but I bought one of those. It's an inflatable mattress, but it's a memory foam one.
Oh, good.
Oh my God. It is the best thing. It was the best $100 I've ever spent. It's phenomenal.
You are planning on getting kicked out, huh?
Maybe. I was going to make it out to the deer stand this morning. And I got to tell you, I didn't.
Yeah.
And it's amazing when you have 2 deer in the freezer and you really don't need any more meat, how your motivation, even though I love going out there and sharing the experience with Stream and hanging out, and I love being in the outdoors, I love sitting in a deer stand, I love watching the deer and taking pictures. The motivation is just not quite the same when you know you're probably not going to even attempt at shooting something. It's just not quite there. And when your alarm goes off at 5 a.m., you're like,
so why aren't you trying to attempt to shoot something? What's going on?
I don't need any more meat.
I thought you needed meat.
I did.
Didn't you guys all split it up amongst 5 of you?
So the buck that I shot made a little over 100 pounds of summer sausage and breakfast sausage. And that's just trimmings. That's not even like the inside straps and the back straps. I have all that in the freezer. So that deer provided a lot of meat. And the doe that I shot was no slouch either. So plenty of meat. I don't need more meat. And so I thought, I'm going to I'll trophy hunt. And then I sat in the stand and I realized I can't trophy hunt. I've already tagged a buck. So then it's like, okay, so I'm
So you can't kill a second buck?
If I would have had one of the people that I was hunting with tag the buck that I shot, then my buck tag would still be open. But I tagged it. So my buck tag for the year is gone. And now I could shoot another buck this weekend if they were to come out and we would be party hunting. I could shoot another buck this weekend and they would have to tag it.
Right.
But I don't. They won't be there. They're done. They had enough. We spent all day last Saturday mixing and smoking venison, and it was a 9-hour ordeal to get through the 2 deer.
Wow.
So yeah,
I think the thing of it is, so you use a lot of fat in it. What kind of fat did you use in it? Did you use pork or beef suet?
Pork belly.
Okay.
Yep. Most of it was like a 26 to 27% ratio.
Okay.
And then I think some of the breakfast sausage, we got to the end and we're like, well, we have pork and we have venison. And if we do a specific ratio, we're going to have a little bit of pork left over. So it's like, just fitty. And it's tasty. It's good.
Yeah. See, our deer season should be starting right now because now it's going to be cold.
Yes, the 100 pounds. Just to answer Irish, the 100 pounds was mixed with fat. Sorry, I interrupted you. I was being insulted.
No. You weren't being insulted. Was he saying that you were fat, or was he saying? Okay.
Yeah, no, he's saying that he swore he saw spots on my buck, but
really?
Those were old marks. That buck was very old.
Oh, did you age it, by the way?
A day or two? A day. About 24 hours.
No, did you age the deer? How old was the deer?
Oh,
I mean, if it's only 24 hours old, then hours, good job.
No, that buck was on its last leg. There was not much left on the jaw. There was not many teeth left. He was old. He was an old swamp buck. And I'm excited to get him on my wall next to now. First day without my green screen.
Are you getting it mounted?
I'm doing which side am I on? I'm doing the European mount. Which side is that? That's this side. Doing the European mount.
Okay. Well, you don't use the bottom jaw on the European mount, do you?
No.
Okay.
Had to look.
If you got that bottom jaw, you need to take that out for me. And then take a picture of it so we can age the deer.
Oh, I can shoot that guy a message and see if he'll keep the lower jaw.
Yeah, just keep one of the lower jaw sides.
I'd be interested. I'd definitely be interested.
Yeah, as long as we get a really good close up of it, then I can probably give you a really close estimate of the age of the deer.
Okay. Yeah, and then teach me something.
That's not hard.
That's what she said. That's what Sagi said? I don't know. First of all, we are on Twitch. Everybody paying attention. Thank you for the raid, Deer Butch. And I saw a couple comments. We're not ignoring chat. We don't always pay full attention to chat during this show because we're usually engaged with each other or the guest. We kind of keep an eye on chat, and if something strikes us, we definitely call it out. But there are plenty of people. Follower goal met 420. Who set our follower goal at 420? That had to have been Sarah, right? Had to have been. I don't know. Congratulations on 420, Chief. Congratulations.
Well, I don't know who it was that followed us. Who was the last person that followed us? Can you see? Because we have them a 420 clap.
I can't. Is this one we're supposed to call a safety meeting?
No, this isn't a safety meeting.
Oh, okay. Rome was the last. I don't know. I don't know how to do things on Twitch. I just work
Rome,
here.
Thank you, Rome, for being our 420.
Thanks for all the follows. Call me Mr. Grimm.
Grim.
Now we're getting formal. I don't take demands. I don't take demands. I'm going to call you whatever the hell I want to call you. Okay, Rome. Just kidding.
Oh my God.
All right. So overall, okay. So going into muzzleloader, and I know we've got a guest that we have to get to, and we got housekeeping we have to get to, but I'm still curious. Overall, how would you grade the deer hunt so far season for you?
Oh God.
You're seeing a lot of deer, right? I mean,
I've seen more deer this year than I've ever seen down there. I mean, last year, the first week, you see quite a few deer. And then it kind of dwindles way down to where you see 3 or 4 deer. I'm still seeing 30, 40 deer a day down there. And it's the deer. And I showed you how the browse line, how they are just killing the browse line along the woods down there. We're really getting overpopulated with deer. And the problem of it is you have a lot of private farms around here. You have 2 or 3 people hunting in private farms, and you're never going to knock the deer herd down by the way they're doing it, you know? So, and I can kill 100 does, but I'm allowed 1 buck.
Yeah.
But what normally happens is when a person kills their buck, it takes them out of the woods. They just quit hunting. They're done when they kill that buck. So if, you know, I'm not saying they need to open up another buck because the deer, there's just a lot of deer here. And as high up as a deer can reach, there's not one tree, leaf, or branch the whole way down our fields.
Is that right?
It's really getting, yeah.
Okay, so, and again, we're off topic a little bit, and we haven't even gotten to our stuff, but I want to say Wisconsin, I don't know if they still do or if it's everywhere within Wisconsin, but there's an earn a buck, so you have to shoot a doe before you can shoot a buck. Why not make try to push that a little bit? That might help.
Yeah, that would probably help. The problem of it is, though, just like last night, I'm sitting down there in the field. At 2:30, I had 22 deer out in the field feeding. But I had like 4 or 5 deer chasing them, and I couldn't see the racks. I know they were bucks. They weren't big bucks, but they're like 600 yards from me. And I'm watching them in the binoculars, and they're chasing does around, and they leave this doe and go over to another one. But it's just like they're not being bothered. I mean, you could shoot 1 doe, but next in next spring, they're going to have 3 each or 2 each or 1 each, whatever, and it just, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for a place like where I live, but I'm sure Indiana, the lower Indiana, lower Illinois, we all deal with the same thing with these kind of farm grounds with private property.
Why? So why are they? Why are they not hunting, or why are they not allowing people? Do you talk to these landowners? What is?
Yeah, they just don't want no one. They've had too much trouble. It's like our property. You seen this spring when I was going down there. Look what they were doing to our property.
Yeah,
they were dumping garbage, bringing all their stuff down, and then after I got that cleaned up and I did something illegal, and I'm not going to say what I did illegally, I burn it. I burn it all. I mean, they dumped the whole house on the property. And then EPA says, listen, don't burn it, but you guys got to pay to remove it.
Oh, hell no.
And I'm like, no. So I accidentally dropped a cigarette. Accidentally dropped a cigarette. And
with the water hose?
And I got rid of it.
Standing there with the water hose?
Yeah. So anyway, the problem of it was as soon as we was done with that, do you remember the truck bed top?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, a week later, I go down, pull in on the property, and we got the whole cap of a pickup truck full of crap. And I'm like, we're not a junkyard. Why? And the problem of it is, in this county, in Union County, and the rest of them, they can go to the landfill for free. It don't cost them a dime to go to the landfill. President.
It didn't cost them a dime to drop it off on your property either.
I don't.
Free?
You
know what the best kind of nation is, Eric? A donation. And they donated all of that. You could have put that truck topper to good use. You know that. We could have come up with some sort of a redneck thing to do.
I was thinking about giving that truck top to Dear Butch and let him ride it in the snow. Like have the horse team pull him out to his deer stand. He could ride in the back of it. I thought that would be kind of neat.
He'd probably make that truck top, I think, would be like a third tier to his palatial estate that he calls a deer stand. It probably could have been like a 4-season porch that he could add on.
Well, we ended up running over that truck bed top with the tractor and smashing it into pieces to where we could pick it up, and then we took it up and put it in our own dumpster. It's just ridiculous.
Did you before you accidentally burned it? Did you check for any bodies?
Yeah, I found 2 names in there. But
you did?
They weren't conservation officers like I was, because I would have been at that guy's house. And they said, well, you can't have, because it's a little toolbox with his name written on it, we need a piece of mail that shows his address and name. And I'm like, the guy lives 3 miles away. And this is his name. It's written on his toolboxes here that he threw in here. Let's go visit him. Because he replaced windows in his house. They don't want to do that. I mean, I'm sorry. It's like law enforcement. I don't know. It's like they give up because they get nowhere with what they do anymore.
Damn cops.
I know. Damn cops.
You can't take them anywhere. Right?
Now, if I get K9 to come over here and help me, we could clean this place up.
Well, you're actually going to try to get rid of Ryan?
No.
Oh, okay. Ryan, I sent you a message. You still haven't responded back. Where's the love?
Who? Me? I don't know. I don't live with him. He's got his own.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to take care of him.
Well, that's not what I heard.
Oh, okay. All right. So who's our sponsor First, Todd.
Yeah. If you want to save some money, just like Lil Dicky was just singing at us, and you like smoked meats and barbecue, you got to check out Texas Select Seasonings. ! BBQ in our Twitch chat will bring you to the link, and you can use Cast and Camo in all caps to get 15% off your order. And they're phenomenal. I know I said this a few times. I think I have one more meat day in my stash, and then I'm going to need some refills. So I'm going to have to place my order. But I still have to. What was the one that you want me to try?
Oh, I gave you the juicy pig.
Yeah, I've got a few of the juicy pigs.
Sweet ass.
Sweet ass. I need to order some sweet ass. That's the super hot one, right?
No, it's not super hot.
Which one's super hot?
Well, that is. I'll think of it here, probably in the middle of a conversation. But the sweet ass is kind of sweet as soon as you taste it, and then it has a bite to it. Right after you taste the sweet, the bite kicks in.
Okay.
Yeah, the sweet ass is good too.
Okay, I'll have to try the sweet ass.
Yep.
Okay. If you're shopping for boats, why not check out Sea Arc Boats? They're great boats! ! Sea Arc. Sarah already dropped it in our chat. Check out the boats at Sea Arc. Have they announced their new boat yet? I have not talked to them in a few days.
Yeah, they've announced it. I just have not looked at it yet. I need to go look at it. I need to go down to the factory.
I know. Now tomorrow night we should hop into his podcast and harass him a little bit. Every Monday I try to remember, and I always forget because Mondays are always crazy.
The only problem, he streams at the same time I do.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yep. And then I have to go watch it after it's over.
Yeah. Yeah, he pays less attention to his chat than we do to ours, believe it or not.
I know. I was there once.
Yeah. And lastly, we're getting close to the end of deer season, which sad face emoji after sad face emoji times 10. But it's never too early to start planning for next year. Deer 30. Sarah dropped that ! Deer 30 in our chat as well. Get to Deer 30 to place your order and use Cast and Camo 24 to get, Eric, how much?
24%.
24% off. You can't. Everybody I talk to when I am with somebody, it's like, go to Deer 30, use Cast and Camo 24, get 24% off. You're going to do this anyway. You're going to buy this shit anyway. You might as well get 24% off. It's not some piddly 10% off. It's not 5% off. You know, this isn't Carolina Bass Company.
Oh,
we get 24% off.
Rattlesnake dust.
Rattlesnake dust.
That's it.
That's what it is.
See, it would pop into my head sooner or later. Yeah.
The Deer 30 link doesn't work. Well, we'll have to fix that. We'll get on it. So last week, this is 2 weeks. We were gone 2 weeks. It's a little hectic when we're hunting, right? I mean, because you have to get out of the woods and get back, and we've just kind of last few weeks. Look, it's deer hunting season, man. We got hunting to do, and I had days off. I had to take my days off, and I was trying to hunt Monday mornings. So, we've been gone for a while. But the last time we did do a show, we had Dr. Ellen Candler on for Awful Wildlife Watching. I've taken a little bit of shit from certain people for that topic in that episode. I think it was cool. I thought it was interesting. And I still think it's interesting. And maybe not so much like the results I think that they were seeing aren't exactly surprising. But I would like to see that type of a study expand and into different states. And I think that would be another interesting aspect to that. Now, I did sign up for Awful Wildlife Watching, and I have my gut pile, and it's still there. but I set up my camera over the gut pile, and I have now 2 more weeks, and I have to go pick it up and upload all the pictures. I'm excited. I'm actually excited to see what we get on that gut pile, since my in-laws decided it was a great idea to bring the deer all the way back to where we are staying, and we hung it up. And I do not recommend this by any means. I thought maybe my brother-in-law and father-in-law had some super secret, awesome way of field dressing a deer. And so we hung it up on with the tractor, with the bucket, and they drove to the little creek, which is completely dry right now, but it's a good 8 to 10 foot drop, it's just kind of straight down. And they hung that son of a bitch right on the edge of that creek edge. And then I stood there and they said, now you can gut it out. And so there I am trying to gut this deer as it's hanging there. And it was awful. Don't ever field dress a deer when it's hanging. And I kept looking at him like, are you guys trying to like prank me? Is this are you going to start like laughing hard at some point? Because this sucks. You can't get into the rib cage because all the pressure is down. It's like, oh my God, it was awful. But so the gut pile is right by the freaking house in the creek bottom. And I just put a sawhorse up and put the camera on a sawhorse. So I'm curious to see if any coyotes actually come up to that close to the house and are munching on the gut pile. Most of it's still there. So I don't know. It's either going to be super interesting or it's going to be 800 pictures of me and everybody else walking back and forth. Who knows? Gamer says I can field dress a deer hanging right into a 5-gallon bucket. Okay. Anyway, we'll it sounds like the Deer 30 website might be short a thing. I'll send Damon or Jeremy or a text tonight. Or you say you're going to call him in the morning?
Yeah,
okay.
I'll give Jeremy a call in the morning.
Yeah, you might as well call him and say, where are damn hats?
Well, I'm going to ask him a couple other things too, because he was supposed to get back to me, and I think they've been messing around a lot with Louisiana this year.
Well, I mean, it is deer season, so I usually give people a little bit of a pass this time of year that I'm trying to get in touch with because everybody's out hunting all the time.
I told you about Ryan's son. He killed a doe down there the first day. And I don't think the camera would have ever worked here because we left at 10:30 in the field. We come back at 2:00. The gut pile was completely gone. There was maybe a little bit of blood. That was it. The gut pile was completely gone.
Is that right?
It didn't last. It didn't even last 4 hours. It was out of.
That's usually my experience as well. Like most of the time, in the past, it was just you shoot it and it drops and you gut it right there, and it's 50, 70, 80, 100 yards from your stand, and you go back to that stand the next day, and I would never see a gut pile. It was always gone. But this one 2 weeks and it's going pretty strong.
We got too many coyotes here. I mean, I just shot one last night walking back to the truck after I was done hunting.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, that's all you see is where you have an overrun with bobcats this year and coyotes. So
okay. And Ben, you can hear us. Nobody else can hear you. I'm sorry. We normally don't go this long, but it's been a couple weeks, man. We got a lot to talk about. I saw a picture on Facebook yesterday. A trail camera had a bobcat on their trail camera.
Yeah.
This thing was bigger than the biggest mountain lion you could ever find. This bobcat was enormous. Yeah. It's been eating good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't realize bobcats could get that big, but holy balls, that thing was giant.
We've been seeing, I think Ryan had 2 or 3 on camera, and I've had 2 or 3 on camera. They're walking past our stands. It's just seems to be getting a lot of bobcats right now. But anyway.
One of the things, Eric, that I have never done, I've shot compound bows, I've shot crossbows. I have not shot a recurve. You shot recurves, right?
Yep.
I have never touched, held, shot I don't think I've seen one in person, a longbow. I haven't.
Well, I just told him in the 25 years I was a state conservation officer, checking hunters and that.
Yeah.
I can think of maybe two, one for sure, maybe another guy, maybe two people that I ever checked with longbows I've ever ran into.
Well, that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to talk about longbows with Ben, aka Super Wiki. Let's bring Ben up.
All right.
Welcome, Ben. There he is.
Hello.
Make sure everybody can hear him. I think everybody can hear him. So I think the first order of business, Eric, is Ben is going to present what we call, or he calls the Superman bow. I have won the Superman bow. He builds these bows, and we're going to get into this.
So is you a Superman bow?
No,
Yeah.
so I'm always trying to change things and, mix things up on my stream, right? And so this year I was like, because Deadpool Wolverine, that was a big thing this year, right?
Yep.
And so I was like, I'm going to do comic book bows. So this entire year, all of the bows that I give away on my stream, I'm going to be doing comic book bows. And so one thing I didn't know is Vex over here, he knows Diana, and I didn't know that. And ever since she found out that I give bows away, she's been hunting for one of those bows, and the one that she wants is the Superman bow. So essentially it's this yellow riser, and I am going to be carving out I've actually carved it out, a Superman insignia, and I'm going to basically Dremel out the side of the riser, and I'm going to glue it in there. And then I've got really, really pretty blue and red limbs that I'm going to attach to it, and that is going to be the first bow of the comic book bows. And this is the Deadpool Wolverine bow. So,
Jeffrey's ears just perked up.
what's that?
What kind of wood is that? Can I ask?
So this is dyed Russian birch. The company that I get it from is Rosewood, the Rosewood shop, and they are in Missouri. So what they do is they dye the wood, and then it's dyed in also, like the one that you see right here, this black one.
Right.
It's the same. It's the same wood. It's dyed Russian birch, and they just dyed it black and red. So it can come in a full sheet like this was in a solid color, or they can cut it to where it looks like candy canes.
I like the wood grain in that. That's what when you pick
yeah.
that up, it really looks.
Oh yeah.
I like that wood grain. Yeah.
Yeah, this was not planned. I literally cut it to size, put it together, and when I sanded the glue down, I was like, the grain matches. Like, how did I manage to match the grain on this, right?
Yeah.
So it was just
Oh, it was
phenomenal. Yeah, it was planned, yeah. So these are the limbs that I'm going to be using for the Superman bow.
Oh, look at that.
So the color contrast is just, absolutely spot on to Superman, right?
Yeah.
So,
Todd, you could not use that bow. The Superman.
Why?
You think you were Superman and jump out of the tree, stand on a deer's back or something? I can see it. No.
I mean, I am Superman.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, I seen how Superman you were with that kick.
My Vex Quando?
Yeah. Your leg was only up about that high off the ground. Yeah, I seen you dug out the ground underneath your foot. I've seen how you did that.
Yeah. Right. So Ben, I'm curious, like let's talk about what made you get into making longbows. Like, how did this start? What happened? What happened to you?
I don't know. So when I was in the Army, right, I was with my wife, and every time we would go to a Renaissance fair, they had longbows, right? And I was like, I want to shoot one. I want to shoot one. And so when I got out of the Army for my birthday, I got a recurve bow. Okay.
Okay.
So I got a recurve. I got it immediately, like way too overpowered. Never shooting a bow. I got a 50-pound recurve right out the gate. And I shot it for about 2 or 3 hours. The next day I couldn't feel my shoulder. I was like, what am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? So I found someone local here in Utah, and I went over to him, and I probably did, I don't know, 3 or 4 different lessons with him to actually learn how to shoot properly. And in doing that, I he stopped doing lessons. So I'm like, well, what the crap? How am I going to learn and go hunting, right? Because I'd
Right.
never been hunting. I'm the first person in my family to go hunting that I know of, at least with a bow, right? Because my
Mhm.
grandpa, he hunted and whatnot. And so I found this guy, and he lives 15 minutes from my house. And I was like, hey, can you help me learn how to shoot a bow better? He was like, yeah. I was like, well, what are you working on? He's like, I'm building a longbow. I'm like, interest peaked. What do you mean you're building a longbow? He's like, yeah, I build my own longbows. I've built 20 self bows, and this is I think he said at the time it was his 18th laminated longbow. I'm like, will you teach me? He's like, yeah, you buy the stuff, I'll teach you. I'm like, done. So it took me 2 years to build my first bow because I had to go back and forth to his house, and I full-time job. At the time I was still in the military, so I was going to guard every weekend. I have 5 daughters, but I did have 3 at the time. And so I was busy. 2 years is a long time, but over that course, I slowly learned how to build it, and I got my own equipment. I got a cheap Ryobi tabletop bandsaw, and hey, Gizmo, I don't appreciate your tone, sir. Um, and yeah, and so I started streaming, and my wife was like, "No, you're not going to stream games. You're not going to build bows. You need to figure out one." I'm like, "Okay, fine. I will build bows and stream at the same time." And so that is kind of how this whole thing started. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Oh,
awesome. Now we might as well just briefly talk about your stream. You do stream on Twitch, and I
we
do have your
do.
name tagged at super _wiki. I think we've already given one shout out. We'll probably give multiple shout outs. When I know most of these answers, but I'm going to ask anyway, and you can answer.
Yeah, of course,
When do
yeah.
you stream?
So I stream Tuesdays and every other Thursday.
That's not confusing at all.
Nope.
I'm looking forward to it. I want to start watching for sure.
Yep.
Once you and I started talking, I was like, "You do what now?"
I do what now? Yep.
Yeah, that's
Wait a minute.
Get into this.
So,
Yeah, and we've had people that make, like Andrew SCR Rods, Custom Rods. He was on a show making custom fishing rods. So what the hell? Why not? I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
so what poundage do you use, and how do you set it for more poundage? Because that's what interesting to me. So when I shot recurve,
Mhm.
it was around 45 to 50 pounds approximately on a recurve.
Okay.
Now that was a lot of years ago.
Mhm.
So
All right.
I'm being told there's a way that these could be built to make them more poundage. Is that true?
Yes and no. So yes and no. So you can twist the string a little bit to give yourself a higher or lower brace height,
Okay.
but the limbs are only going to be what the limbs are. So that's where the yes or no comes in. And so what I mean by brace height is, so when you string a bow, the brace height is from the middle of the grip, the deepest part, to the string. That's the brace height. When I build my bows, the ones I do for giveaways, I put them between 35 and 45 pounds because there's a lot of different equations. It could be, hey, Like ROA Mr. Grimm, he was the first winner of all of my longbows, period. It was also the very first bow that I built without my mentor's help. So it's a very special bow. I screwed that bow up big time. I misaligned the profile of it, and it ended up being I think it's a 17-pound bow, but that's part of the process. It was my second bow ever built, right?
Right.
But I don't know if they're going to hang it on the wall like Grimm is, or if it's going to be like the third winner, Pagan Wolf, where he literally sent me a message 2 weeks after I sent him the bow. He said, "Hey, I've killed 4 bunnies, 3 foxes, and 2 raccoons." And I'm like, "Holy shit, you're using something that I made for you. That's amazing, right?"
Yeah.
But my giveaways, I do between 35 and 45 pounds because I don't know if it's going to be this beautiful piece of art on the wall, or if it's going to be someone's actually going to go use it to kill something,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, the heaviest bow I made was a 75-pound bow before I cut it. And at the ending, it was a 62-pound bow. So I can make it within 5 pounds of my target weight.
Okay, so what is the length of your bows from tip to tip?
So the bows that I make come from a form it's a 64-inch reflex deflex longbow. So they're 64 inches.
Okay. I can see me hanging up on every tree in the woods.
You just got to camouflage it. That's all.
Yeah.
So let's back up just a touch.
Sure.
Can you give us like a high level overview of what is the process? Like from how do you pick the wood that you're going to use? Are there different kinds of wood that you can and want to use? Can you get creative with that wood? But once you kind of have an idea, what is the overall process of coming up with the design? And then of course, high level, we're not going to get through every intricate part of creating and making these bows, but how does this all work?
Well, there's a lot of sanding. Yeah, there's a lot of sanding. Yeah. So the bow from start to finish takes between 85 and 100 hours. Each bow.
Wow.
So first thing you do is you get your block of wood and you cut it 18 inches long and about 1.5 inch and 3/4 wide. Put it on the form, draw your line, which I'll show you. This is the form. I just did a glue up, so it's really
Boy, I thought the baby was
So first you find the piece of wood and then put it around the baby to form it.
Yes. So let's see if I can do this. Okay, so you see this curve?
Yeah.
So this curve is what I basically am sanding back and forth. So I spend 24 hours or so sanding back and forth like this so that the wood matches this form perfectly.
Okay.
Once I have that done, I cut what's called the fades. Now the fade is this part right here. So do you see where the bow is super thick and then it fades out into nothing?
Yeah.
Yes.
I fix the fades, I cut the fades. After we cut the fades, we do the glue up, which is I apply the fiberglass, the veneer, which this is my bow, this is spalted maple. After that, I do the parallel, which is this next part down here. Then I do the actual tapers, which is this top part right here. And then I just reverse the process. Once that cooks for 4 hours, it looks really ugly and really gross. And it looks like this. And so it's not actually a bow yet. It's still just a giant ugly stick.
Right.
So once I shave this down to where I see no glue, period, it's just actual material. I measure from the center 12 inches out. Then I get exactly center. I go center of the bow, and then I measure 3/4 or 3/8 out on both sides. From that 12 inches that I initially went, I go from there to the furthest right line, and I do that on all 4 limbs. Once I do that, that gives me the shape of the limbs. I cut that. After that, after the tips are done at about a 1/2 inch, I will put the limb tips on. I will cut the grooves and I will string it to check the tiller. And then after that, it's all just pretty work. So, and that was very high level and very fast.
No, it's and you lost me right away. But no, I'm teasing. It sounds like even. I tell you what, like I got into carving decoys. I'm not good,
Okay.
but it's fun to try. And I'm trying to I found one mentor that I'm trying to work with. And this is similar, like it's similar. Like I'm hearing you and looking at this going, yeah, okay. Yeah, I could do this. Fully understanding that I have no ability to use tools. I could barely use a hammer. So I realize I would not be able to do this. So it's intriguing. It's super intriguing to me. Does it always have to be that same shape, or can you get kind of funky or get interesting or creative with how the design is?
No, so I can't really modify the design as far as like, and that's kind of why I started doing really intricate things with the wood, doing inlays, really doing vibrant colors, is because there's not really a lot I can do with this design. Again, I've only been doing it for 2 years.
Right.
So, it's finding that separation of all these other different bow makers that do takedown longbows, takedown recurves. They do their own longbows. It's figuring out how my bows are separated from my mentor's bows. It's finding that different thing. And I think on the next couple bows, I really want to focus on shaping the handle so it's a little bit more unique than just the ones I have been doing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm assuming then that would be one of the main areas where you could really start creating and using your own creativity to make this design kind of your own.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where, 100%. So
we have a question from the chat. Is that only one mold?
Yes, one mold. Yep. Okay. It's a bottom part and a top part. So you have the bottom part where the glass lays, and then I put a fireman's hose on top, and then I put the top down, bolted down, and then I put air into the fire hose to put that pressure down so that the glue sticks.
Okay.
Yeah, and Maximus is asking one of the questions I had written down as well. Can you talk about what the difference is between a recurve and a longbow? I think a lot of people say when you hear longbow, I think they're assuming a recurve. So what is the difference?
So the main difference is, let me find my string. I will do a small little. I'll show you what this looks like.
If you come back with another baby, I'm gonna be convinced that you're just trying to show off all 5 of your children.
Okay. So, come here, you. Okay, so do you see how when this is strung, it kind of just goes out to the edge, right?
Yep.
Kind of just straight. So a recurve, what'll happen is it's going to curve back towards the deer or the back of the bow. The belly is the part that's facing you. So a longbow will just go up like this, and the recurve is going to come up and it's going to curve back. So when the string is on the bow and you draw back, all that tension is going to make the recurve go flat like a longbow, and all that stored energy is going to make the arrow fly a lot further. So longbows are more forgiving because they don't store as much kinetic energy, but recurve bows they hit a lot harder because there is that more energy that gets stored. So
what would you consider an average for shooting a longbow on being accurate without having to lob it in? You know what I mean?
Do you mean distance or poundage for a new person?
On your distance. Are you looking at 20 yards, 30 yards?
Yeah. So it obviously depends on the poundage, but if you're going hunting with a longbow, you're going to want between a 45 or between a 40 and a 50-pound longbow, and you're going to be accurate between 20 and 30 yards.
That's what
Anything past 30 is not,
Yeah.
it's not ideal for the animal. It's just not.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you have like an English longbow that's like 120 pounds, that's a different story, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I actually, it's kind of funny because when I first become a conservation officer, I was actually watching two hunters hunting a field that were shooting at deer, and they both had recurves. And I swear to God, they was pointing straight in the air, lobbing at the deer because they were like 120 yards from them.
Oh yeah, see, that's not okay.
I couldn't even believe it. But anyway, yeah, that's.
Yeah, and that brings me up to something else, right? So in this journey, there's so much mathematical physics that's involved. It blew my mind, the physics that is involved in learning how to do longbows, to do archery in general.
Right.
Like and it's funny, I make fun of compound guys all the time. I'm like, oh, look at all your fancy little toys and all your little tricks and stuff. Because they have everything done for them. They buy their new compound bow, they take it to a shop, the shop strings it for them, the shop tunes it for them, says, hey, you need to shoot these arrows out of this bow. There's not, to me, you might as well just go get a rifle.
Well, that's what I was talking about before the stream with the muzzleloaders. The muzzleloaders, they
exactly
have the flintlocks, you know.
Right. And that's why I make fun of them, because that yes, it is archery, and yes, it does still take some skill.
Right.
But when you go to traditional archery and you're shooting a longbow and a recurve, you have to know what your point on distance is. You have to know, or crossbow.
Yeah.
You have to know, how many grains your arrow needs to weigh to take down a specific animal, which means you need to know what your distance is. There's gap shooting, and there's string walking. Right. There's also instinct. That's the three. So there's instinct, target, instinct, gap, and string walking for shooting styles.
Yeah, I just never understood it. I was always an instinctive shooter. Even when I had my first compound, I did instinctive. I didn't have no sights on it or nothing. I always shot instinctive. Then when these newer bows come out, it's hard not to follow the trend that's going on, because like I told you at the beginning of the show, here I am when I moved here I am with this flintlock rifle. And using my own flint that I find out in the fields to be primitive. And here's guys out here with these rifles, shooting 300 yards a deer, and I'm like shooting 50 yards.
Yeah.
80 yards with my flintlock. So you might as well go ahead and join the crowd. That's the problem with it. If you're going to do primitive hunting, I really believe we should have a primitive archery season in every state.
That would be fantastic.
That's a great idea. I love that.
I think there should be 2 or 3 weeks of primitive, and this is my suggestion on it. And I know there's going to be a lot of people in chat that's going to hate me for this, but I think the first month or first 4 weeks of archery season, you can use your crossbow or your compound or whatever. But when the deer go in the rut, the 2 weeks before rifle season, you got to use primitive weapons. And they got to be really primitive. You can't. I think
that's a great idea.
I really honestly believe, and that would make a lot of these people more respectful of the way hunting used to be and should be, basically, if you're going to make a primitive season. But we have a primitive season here, but I'm allowed to shoot 300 yards with my muzzleloader that's dead on, and I can cut bullet holes at 300 yards,
Spike just made a comment that I was going to make too. I love the idea. The problem is you almost have to have it where in order to get that tag, you should go and get certified, like pass a test, a shooting test.
Yeah,
My fear would be you've got any Tom, Dick, and Harry out there going and getting a $300 longbow and shooting 40, 50 yards and wounding a lot of deer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we had that problem before, Todd. Before we had the compounds.
That's
we
true.
were all using recurves.
That's true.
And the longbow was used a lot more then 40, 50 years ago than it is now. I can guarantee.
I almost want to say, and people might disagree with me, and I hope you do, but it goes along with that muzzleloader that you got.
Yep.
It's easier.
Yep.
They don't want to work for it, you know. It's I can go kill this deer at 300 yards with this new fancy muzzleloader. I'm going to go do that instead of putting in the work and the time to stalk the animal, get close to the animal, actually hit the animal that's in range of the old-fashioned muzzleloaders.
Right.
And my wife was like, "Why are you shooting a traditional bow again?" I'm like, "Because I want the challenge."
Right.
Like, sorry, then the one bow that I learned on was the hardest one to learn, which was the longbow, because the range isn't like the recurve.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, I just think it would be interesting if we end the archery season 2-3 weeks before deer season and bring in a primitive season. And
I think it would be a blast.
I think that would force a lot of hands. And you would see, because hunters are almost a dying breed. I was telling Todd about this this year. Every year I drive down to the farm to go hunting, and I'll see maybe 20, 30 cars. This year, on the way down, I seen one vehicle parked on the side of the highway on the opening day of deer season. Now, when I left and come back, I seen 3. And I've never seen it this bad with hunters. Now, the bad part with Kentucky is our game lands is shut down on October 31st is the last day. You can do any kind of hunting because they are more towards goose and duck hunters here. So right. All hunting, and you can't even rifle hunt on the game lands. So that makes it worse to us too, Todd, with the deer population. You can only archery hunt, and there's very few people archery hunting anymore.
Yep.
And that's been cut down in half, or even worse. I mean, you read the statistics, the last one we did about this.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel bad, but I don't know how to solve it. But I think this would be a neat idea to do primitive hunting the 2-3 weeks. But you would never get a commission to ever listen to you. They just go, because they're there for the money. And I'm sorry, and I'm going to say this straight up. There ain't a conservation officer in this world that can't tell me that their departments are not there for the money now. So...
I mean, I doubt anybody would give you an argument. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Bear Slays is right. I have a little PP and everybody still loves me, even though. So thank you, Bear, for making sure everybody is aware of my small PP gang status. Thank you. And then Spiked was giving me shit, and a lot of people have given me shit the last 2 years about hunting with the crossbow. It was legal for the first time last year in Minnesota, and I wanted to try it. I wanted to kind of knock that off on my list of, okay, I've shot a deer with my compound. Now I've shot a deer with the crossbow, and I'm giving some serious thought to going, okay, maybe now it's time to kind of kick it up to the next level and maybe go and try recurve and try a longbow and stock and hunt and stock and hunt and stock and try it out. I love sitting in a deer stand, but I could see the allure of trying to stalk your prey. You know, I think that would be pretty fun.
Problem you're going to run now, since you've already had the crossbow.
Yeah.
You're going to be sitting in that tree stand. You're going to have a buck come out at 60 yards. That's going to be a Boone and Crockett buck. And you're going to be sitting there with the longbow or the recurve, and you're not going to be able to shoot that deer. And the first thing, Next time you go out, you're going to have the crossbow in your hand. I guarantee you.
I would hope not. I hope not, because I think for me, like individually as a hunter, I would want that challenge, kind of like what Ben was saying. It's a different challenge. It's something not everybody can say they've shot it and killed a deer with a longbow or a recurve.
No, they can't.
And I don't know that I would sit in a stand all the time doing that. I would, like when we were talking earlier today, Eric, about those deer that are 300-400 yards away that you're seeing in the fields. Maybe, talk about primitive as you start kind of crawling up to that ravine where those deer are walking down. You can just see the tops of them.
Fields look like when they're cut. There is nothing to crawl through, brother.
Well, you got to get one of those little sticks and you just put it in front of you and you do the army crawl. I'd pay to see you doing that. But I think that would be, I think it'd be fun. And I never even gave it even an inkling of a thought until I started talking with Ben a week or two ago. And I'm like, I mean, I realize that, like his custom work is not cheap, but it's, in my opinion, it's functional art. It's, to me, what Ben is doing with creating these things, it's functional and you can go and use it, but at the same time, it's freaking art. I think it's awesome myself.
I wouldn't mind having one. I just don't think that I don't even know what I'd be like to pull it back with my back. I have a rough enough time with my crossbow with the crank because I've had 6 surgeries on my back.
What about your crank?
Have you ever got your mind out of the gutter ever in your life?
Well, you're talking about, I asked, what about your crank? You're talking about the crank on your crossbow.
Mm-hmm. I think I know you better than a lot of people in here.
Okay. Can we talk about the wood for a second?
Yeah, we love the wood.
Yes. Is there any kind of wood that you cannot use that would just not work?
Softwood.
Softwood.
Gotta be hardwood.
Nobody likes softwood.
Nobody likes softwood.
No.
It has to be hardwood.
Can you use oak?
Yes.
You can. So would that be more powerful bow?
Nope. So the part, so I'm just learning this, and I think it might have to do with the wood, right? Okay. So I made 2 bows out of the same material, okay? And I used the same, basically the same, what's the word I'm looking for? The same stack. The stack is the thickness of the glass, the thickness of the tapers, all the way down, the thickness of the parallels, okay? Now, I have a theory that the hardness of the wood increases or decreases the poundage of the bow.
Okay.
Now, I say that because I did 2 bows, and I had them at the same, and that one behind me, right? Mm-hmm. So I gave the shop the exact same stack minus, I think it was like 30 thousandths of an inch, okay? This bow came out heavier, even though it was the exact same. And I want to say because this bow behind me is Brazilian cherry, and the wood that I used in the other bow was Indian ebony. Well, Brazilian cherry is way harder and way more dense than the Indian ebony. So I think even though the center is a stationary part of the bow, I think it still flexes. And so because of that denseness, I want to say that caused the bow, the weight before I actually shaved down the glass, I want to say that it actually increased the weight by about 10 pounds.
Wow.
So the bow behind me next to it, I'll be able to see if my theory is correct because I made it out of the other half of that Indian ebony. So
Interesting.
yeah, and it's the only thing I could think of that would cause it to be so overweight. So yeah, so it does matter, I think, but I'll let you know in next week
I
whether or not.
just wondered if they different types of wood would give you different poundage. You know what I mean? Being a harder type wood or going a little bit soft. I know you said soft wood's not good, but there is different grades of wood coming up through that. So I imagine you got to be above a medium type grade wood and above to make your bows.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you shoot any other bows? Do you shoot compound bows?
Nope.
You don't at all. Have you?
Nope.
Never.
I shot my buddies when we went hunting. He's like, "Hey, you should try this." I'm like, "Okay." I'm not going to buy one, but I'll try it.
Yeah.
So when you're drawing back on a compound bow compared to a longbow, is it a similar motion where you're kind of squeezing your back shoulder blades, or is it different at all?
It is very different. So, for those of you who have shot compound, there's that initial strain, right? You're reaching back, you're kind of going slow because in the back of your mind that after that 60% or whatever it's tuned to, you're going to get a 90% let off. Then you can go have a cappuccino. You can go to McDonald's. You can have a tea party in your deer stand. With a longbow, you have about 6 seconds. It's one fluid motion. You draw, and as soon as you hit your anchor, you're letting go.
Wow.
So that is the main difference between the two. Is it's one's constant pressure, one the pressure's let off. So you can sit there for 5-6 minutes waiting for that deer to get exactly where you want it to be before you actually, drop the hammer.
Yeah, I remember hunting with the recurve. The first couple of deer that I seen, I drew back way too soon.
Mm-hmm.
And the deer's walking in and behind trees, and it's like you can't hold it very long. You got to ease up.
Yes.
And you may pull back 3 or 4 times, and then you may never ever get a shot at the deer anyway. So it's kind of interesting, and it makes it a lot. And a lot of people, it's like this crossbow. I can pull this crossbow up and stand there all day long waiting for the deer to turn. You ain't gonna do that with a recurve. And a compound, you're gonna only have so long too.
Yeah, I can't hold my compound back that long.
Let's say mine was, I think mine was 60% let off. I think it was 60%, which makes a difference. You can hold it back for like, I don't know, 40 seconds, 30 seconds at least, which makes a huge difference compared to a recurve.
So when I have you make a bow for me, I'm going to send you my site, which is one of those sites where I can just dial in. It's going to be, okay, so it's at 15 yards and then I turn my dial and now it's set for 15 yards. And I'm assuming we can have that type of capability on that longbow, and you'll be able to figure that out where I can just send you that and you'll mount it and get it dialed in perfect. So I can just kind of keep, what do you mean? No,
I have never built a bow that has sights on it.
No time better than the present.
Instinctive, Todd.
It's the, what your target is? The tip of the arrow.
Yep.
That tip of the arrow is that's why I like string walking. Okay. And here's why. So with gap shooting, what you're doing is you are knocking that arrow every time and you're bringing it back to your anchor point every single time. Okay. With gap shooting, let's say I know that 3 fingers under, I hit 5 inches above my target. So that means when that deer is, say, 10 yards away, if I put the tip of that arrow just below the belly, when I let go, that arrow is going to rise into that deer. I don't like it because there's wind, there's an uphill, downhill, sunlight, all of that. So what I do is I do what's called string walking. So what that is however low on the bow I go is my yardage. So if I know 3 under directly on the arrow is 18.5 yards, cool. At 18.5 yards, I put 3 fingers under that arrow and I put point on exactly where I want to hit. That deer's dropping. Now, if that deer's 10 yards away, okay, I know that if I do 3 fingers under and I put my pointer finger where my middle finger is, I know that's my 10-yard mark. That's why I do string walking, because the lower I go, and let's say in worst case scenario, the deer's at 25 yards. Well, that's above my shooting range, so I do split finger, where I put 1 finger above, 2 fingers below. That just gave me 7 yards. And it's still effective to kill that deer. That's why tuning a traditional bow is so important, because you have to know the weight that you're going to use, the length of the arrow, how far you want to go, what kind of animal you want to kill. All of that stuff gets added into the physics of how you build that bow. Traditional bows aren't built stock arrows. You tune the arrows to each individual bow.
I was going to ask you about that as far as the arrows go. How does that work? So when you're building these bows, are you making the arrows to go with them?
No, but I did find someone on Facebook who does build arrows. That's all he does. So I'm actually going to do a lot of collaboration with him that, hey, this bow that I just built actually goes and is going to need these arrows at this shaft length, this weight, and then he will build them and send them to whoever, won the bow or bought a bow. So
interesting.
Yeah, I figured that would be a really good collaboration, because I don't build arrows.
And some of these questions that they might be really dumb questions, but I legit don't know.
No, they're not dumb. No, not at all.
Are there fletchings on these arrows, just like a normal?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Are they actual
actual
they're not
fletchings?
Plastic. Okay, so they're okay.
Actual feathers. Yep.
All right.
Interesting.
So the question we had there, I just tried to look it up for you, K9. I'm not sure on Kentucky, but I just brought up, and I think Kentucky, they're allowed, but they have to be 3/4 of an inch in diameter if you make your own arrowheads.
So I want to say that, and I don't remember if it was in Utah law that I read it, but you can make your own as long as there are 2 sharp sides.
Right. And it's saying that it's got to be, like here in Kentucky, it's got to be 3/4 of an inch in diameter.
Yep.
I know PA, you could make your own, but I'm not sure. I need to really study that. That's interesting that you said that, Gizmo.
So one big thing. So back to your question. So first thing, like I would do, okay, we'll use you an example. You say, "Hey Ben, I want a bow." I'm like, "Okay, what pound do you want?" He's like, I'll do 45 pounds. I'm like, "Okay, cool. What are you gonna kill?" Well, the biggest I want to kill is a bear. I'm like, okay. So for a bear, you need 450 grains. So what I would do is I would get a full length bear arrow shaft, and I would glue in, temporary glue, 450 grains of arrow weight, and I would shoot at a target 5 yards away until I'm shooting bullet holes. Now, what I would do is you can do one of 2 things. You can either drop weight or you can shorten shaft. And that's how you figure out what is strong and what is weak. Once I'm shooting bullet holes, then I add the fletchings at the desired length of whatever those are. Bam, you now have an arrow, and I would send it to the guy, and the guy would go, "Okay, what color scheme did you use for this bow?" And I would say, "This one." And he'd go, "Okay, great, where's it going?" And I would pay him, he would send you stuff, and then you'd have a bow. So that's basically how you tune a bow in high level. So
right.
Yeah.
And then along I would like to get into where Gizmo kind of started us. I'm assuming you don't have, like, again, I'm used to compound and crossbow. You've got field tips and you've got your broadheads. I'm assuming here's your 4 arrows. It's with it's got some sort of a broadhead on it of some sort. So there's not really a practice type of arrow, correct?
No, it's the same arrow. It's just fill tip and broadhead. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and you can put in your what are they called? The ones you shoot rabbits with the blunt.
The blunt.
Yeah, the blunt. So it doesn't matter as long as that grain weight is the same.
What about lighted nocks? Can you put lighted nocks on these things?
Yeah.
Nice. Diana, look out! I'm winning one of these bows. Get out of the way.
I really like the idea of having a flint tip. If you make your own, because you're never going to get the same weight exactly on each one, and that would throw you off a lot.
That would definitely throw in a wrench in your entire scheme of things.
Yeah. I'm not advertising that for you guys to have this as a primitive hunting for use real flint. Please don't think that, but that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
To see that. Yeah.
Well, could you use some of, like, when you find those arrowheads, Eric, could you use some of those if they're in good shape?
Yeah, I've got several out in the garage that I can definitely use. I mean, they're really nice. They're sharp. But there's some of them, because a real arrowhead is small. They're not, a lot of people mistake the arrowhead, their spears or their knives or stuff like that. So they mistaken them. But the real arrowheads that you find are no bigger than like your thumb.
Right.
So 3/4 of an inch, you're gonna have to do some work. So I would say most of the ones that we find are probably not going to work to the dimensions that they're asking for. So you may need to make your own.
So in Utah, arrowheads have to have 2 or more sharp cutting edges,
right?
That cannot pass through a 7/8 inch ring.
Okay. Yep. So does it say what the diameter is, like Kentucky? Of the cutting?
It just says they cannot pass through a 7/8 inch ring.
7/8, yeah.
Yep, so 7/8.
Yeah, because here it's 3/4 of an inch in diameter.
Gosh, 7/8 is not that big.
No, it's really not.
I mean, you figure what a ring like that, through it, that would, that's really small. And I understand.
What was that you just put up there?
What?
What, me?
No, was that your own ring? Is that your wedding ring?
Yeah.
Oh.
Why, do you not have one of them?
I have one. I have multiples.
I mean, you got excited there. I thought, what the heck?
I can barely, I don't wear mine because I can never get it off.
That's why I have 2. I have one that I put on and it sticks on, and another one I can put on and take it off.
I just buy the rubber ones from Amazon.
There you go.
And then I put like a big diamond on it, just like all those waitresses. So when I walk around, that buzzer doesn't hit on me anymore. Say, no, I'm taking.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, let me look at my list of questions. We talked about the range. Kind of talked about what this year's. Okay, so would I be able to, let's say I come to you and say, Ben, I want you to build me a bow. Here's the theme that I want. I want my logos. And can you burn things? Like,
Yeah, so I have done one bow, which was my first commission bow, and it was the first time that I did wood burning. So the Superman bow that I'm doing, not only am I doing an embedding where I embed the bow with that sign, but I'm going to be doing cracks around it. I'm going to color it green so it looks like the Superman sign, is being forced into the bow, and kryptonite cracks are coming out of the bow. So yeah, my wife actually cricketed on the last stag that I made that I wood burn. So yes, I can wood burn.
Nice. Do you want to talk price?
We can, absolutely.
Give us a range. Because I'm assuming based on it just kind of depends, right? Depends on the wood, depends on the design, depends on a lot of things.
All right. So if I tell you I want a deer hunting bow that I want to hunt with bow for deer, longbow, what kind of price? I don't want it fancy or anything. I just want a straight up longbow.
Straight up longbow, base price, just.
I want to go deer hunting with it.
$1,200.
$1,200. Okay.
So what that covers is, so what I do is, and I'm transparent with everybody, right? Because transparency is best. Do math. So I look at the wood, and whatever the cost of the wood is, I double it. You know, whatever the materials cost, it costs to make the bow. Like we're talking sandpaper, glue, the files I have, you know, all of that, whatever the cost of those were, I double everything. And then whatever that base price is, I double it again for the work, because it takes 100 hours, right? It's not. And then that's your price. And then shipping is not included in that. So whatever the double price is,
I mean,
add shipping, and that's
an hour to build that bow.
What's that? That's the math I was doing. I'm going, that's actually not bad for 100 hours of work.
You're doing $12 an hour. That's usually what people charge as their labor. They don't even look at the price because they already know that. Instead of just say, hey, I charge $12 an hour. It's 100 hours for me to build you a bow. But now if I want the Superman bow and I want to be like Vexus and jump out of a tree, Superman bow, what's that going to cost me?
Probably around $1,500 to $1,600, just because the Superman sign, I had to draw it out. I had to Dremel every little piece out. Then I have to copy it onto the bow, Dremel out the perfect, you know, so it fits, glue it in, and then make sure that it actually looks good.
Right.
So I mean, that would definitely be a custom thing to add, you know.
Right. Exactly.
So the question in chat is, what about a buffalo bow?
What is a buffalo bow?
Well, something that you can kill a buffalo with, I would suppose.
Well, let's see.
All right, he's going to look up a buffalo bow for you, Walleye. Only Walleye would know what a buffalo bow is. You know
I'm picturing Walleye's longbow design. I bet it would be amazing.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. How many grains does
600
it take to kill a buffalo?
600.
Okay, so
more.
How many?
Eric, what's your guess? Let's play prices right. I'm gonna guess 800 grand. That's what I'm guessing.
Oh, I think you're gonna have to be below that to shoot it. To have any kind of distance. You get too big of grams, you're gonna have you're gonna have some problems shooting it. So my thing is, you're gonna have to probably be like back 300 years ago, when every time you seen them shoot a buffalo, there was like 16 arrows in them. So that's probably what I'm going to guess is going to happen.
It's like the woolly mammoths. You just see them running around with spears sticking out of them.
Exactly.
Okay. So to kill a buffalo with an arrow, you should use a heavy, low diameter carbon arrow. So my mentor actually uses compound bow target shooting arrows. So the diameter of these is 0.166. Okay. The arrow should have a grain weight ranging from 11 to 12 grains per inch. The arrow should have razor sharp broadhead capable of bone piercing density, or you're going to want about a 670 grain arrow.
I figured they weren't going to go too high because if you get up too high, then you're going to have trouble shooting a longbow very far. And I don't want a buffalo 10 feet from me.
No, unless it's been tranquilized first, then maybe.
Well, I said, I mean, I don't know how many people hunt grizzly bears or polar bears with a longbow. I mean, you're going to be like pushing the limit there. You know, they're going to be close.
I plan on doing it. I plan on killing everything with a longbow. That is my goal. Okay. It's a long future goal.
Can I shake your hand now before I miss you here in the because I want you to get a walrus for me. That's all.
You know, Eric, you ruined. I was just going to say, Ben and I talked the other night, and we're already planning a longbow walrus hunt.
Yes. My father-in-law runs deep sea fishing up in Washington, so we've got the boat. We're good.
So the problem of it is, for you to get a license, they in Alaska, there's a place in Alaska, they give out 30 licenses to non-residents. Mm-hmm. They cost you about $30,000 a piece.
That's rough.
Yeah, we'll get it sponsored.
Yeah.
I'll call Daddy Bortz and he'll hook me up with Sitka. We'll get it sponsored. Piece of cake.
If he can get you sponsored for that hunt, I guarantee he'll be up there elk hunting.
He could come with. I mean, we need eye candy, so he can come with. You know, I can't always be the prettiest of the bunch, so sometimes you just got to bring Bortz with just to make him feel good. Where's he been? We haven't heard. He hasn't been giving us shit. He been hunting?
He is in Montana right now.
Dang.
He's in Montana elk hunting right now.
Dude lives the life, man. That dude lives the life. I don't know that I have any more questions. Well, I do actually. Let's talk about. So when you're streaming and you're building these bows, are you building the bows that you're giving away only? Are they commission bows? Is it a combination?
All of it.
So, but I'm assuming you're not like, again, I'll use myself as the example. If I say, I would like you to build me a bow, mm-hmm. Are you going to take those 100 hours that go into that bow and put that 100 hours on every Tuesday and every other Thursday? Or are you going to be working on that bow continuously?
So I will be working on that bow continuously as time permits, obviously, because I'm a dad. But yeah, so I will do a majority of the work off stream. If like you're like, hey, I need this bow like in X amount of time, and I'll say, hey, this is my timeline. This is what I have ahead of you, or yeah, I can knock that out, et cetera, et cetera. But I do try to work on all my bows on stream because, it's like, when I did my first commission bow, one of the big things that was brought to my attention that they liked was the fact that they could tune in to any of my VODs or go to my live stream and watch their bow getting created.
Yep.
Like,
I think it's awesome. It's not to bring up other streamers, but it's like Brock, with his airbrushing, I think it's fantastic, and people can commission him to say, hey, paint me this helmet or paint my pet, and you can watch him do it. I think that's for me, that's one of the cooler parts of that whole interaction, that engagement and entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely. To answer your question, so shooting a 50-pound longbow with a 680 grain arrow, its effective range is about 77 yards.
I'm not shooting 77 yards. There's not a chance.
So you could go kill a buffalo with, if you're ballsy enough to get 30 yards from that buffalo, you could take it with a 50-pound longbow.
Eric, you go first.
No.
I'll stand behind you.
First of all, I can't run fast enough.
Exactly. That's why I'm going with you.
No.
You don't have to be fast. You just have to be faster than the person you're with.
Yeah, but all I have to do is trip you, and then I can get away.
Have you not seen my reflexes?
Oh,
They're Superman reflexes.
Yeah. seen your reflexes. Your leg's about that high off the ground.
You know what? Just to prove you wrong.
I think the biggest problem of it is oh no, that I'm telling you, you dug a hole for that leg to swing up because really never mind.
I mean, now if that would be in slow motion, my foot is almost at my eye level.
Almost.
That's a roundhouse kick.
Where the hell is your eyes at? Down at your belt?
No, look, it's almost up at my eyes.
What is?
My foot.
Oh,
Look,
I thought
Jake Paul called and said, "I don't want any part of you." That's
what he said.
That's how lethal that roundhouse kick is.
Yeah.
Everybody's scared. Walruses are scared of me. Jake Paul's scared of me. Tyson won't even try it. I don't blame him.
So your streams, are they just nothing but building bows? Because I got a question wanting to know if you're going to cook on stream.
No, Gizmo, I'm not cooking on stream. I did cook it one time. I got some good advice from a person who is now a partner. And that advice was, look at McDonald's, okay? So with McDonald's, they had 5 things on the menu or 3 things or whatever it was, and it was successful. I should do the same thing with my streams. If I'm successful with building bows on stream, then I shouldn't play games.
Agreed.
Okay, cool. So that is when I turn into I am the only person on Twitch that builds longbows. And I've got to maintain that authenticity of being the only bow maker,
Are you saying if any other bow makers show up on Twitch, you want us to go? Are you putting it? This is Eric. This is breaking news. Are you putting a hit in advance on any other longbow builders on Twitch?
That's what I'm doing.
You heard it here, folks. He's putting a hit on any future longbow builders on Twitch.
I have followers that'll take care of things for me.
Wow.
He was going to cook for him. There wasn't no hit, Todd. You can't say that.
I know a 1%er. You want to use a 1%?
I'll send Diana's dogs to go get them.
Oh, I am making enemies tonight. Oh well.
Yeah.
No, I do a lot of things. Because to be honest, watching a guy stroke his wood for 5-6 hours at a time could get boring, right?
Yeah.
So I have added
you,
right?
I know plenty of people that are going to tune into that. There's one in chat right now. Misty's in. You'd say it's stroking wood for 4 to 5 hours. Misty's there. She's already waiting in your stream right now.
Outstanding. Love that.
Oh, now we're off the rails. Now I'm in mod mode because everybody's typing in stroking wood and Automod is catching every one of them. Oh well. I don't have Eric. Do you have any other questions?
No, not really. I'm definitely going to be in your stream. You won't recognize me in your stream because I hide.
Hey, I love that.
Yeah.
No, we'll say hello to you.
Absolutely. Joker, who's getting old? Chief or Eric? Yeah, he is. He is getting old. I agree.
I'm getting old.
We're all getting
all right.
old.
So, well, for everybody watching and listening, I didn't say this at the beginning, but if you're watching here live on Twitch, we are on YouTube. This episode will be uploaded to YouTube yet tonight. Check us out on YouTube, Cast and Camo TV. On our website, www.castandcamotv.com, castandcamotv.com. You can see the last 12 episodes right now on the website. You can check out the merch. And don't forget our sponsors, Texas Select Seasonings, ! BBQ in chat. Use discount code Cast and Camo in all caps to get 15% off. Check out Sea Arc Boats. They've got awesome boats. Get ready for the spring. Get your new Sea Arc boat. Find the dealer near you. And Deer 30, don't put in the Deer 30 because we need to fix their link.
Yeah, I'll be
But once
calling
their
them.
link is available, you can use Cast and Camo 24 to get 24% off your order and get ready for build those deer, man. Make those deer big. So we can all be like Eric and have our pick of 14 pointers. Just take your pick. Which one do you want to
Take
shoot,
your
Eric?
pick.
That's right.
That's right.
But thank you to those sponsors and thank you to everybody that was watching. Again, let's give another shout out. I can give another shout out to Ben at Super Wiki. I'm sorry, at Super _ Wiki. You got to get that underscore.
Mm-hmm.
Check him out on Twitch. And you know what? I haven't put this in chat. ! Longbow gets you to Ben's website, thesleepyarcher.com. So
Yes,
go.
you can all
check out
become
that.
a subscriber of my Only Woods.
That's right. The Only
Mhm.
Woods. Let's get it.
My Only Woods.
And Super _ Wiki. Another shout out for Ben. Check him out. I can't wait to see your streams. And I'll be there. When? I can't promise. Work is crazy right now. I have very little time to even think, but I can't wait to check it out. And I'm definitely going to be there. But everybody else should drop Ben a follow as well. Yeah, it should be fun. All right.
Yeah.
And, Eric, I don't know if it's going to be next week or it's going to be some weeks soon. Maybe is that the first week of December? Is it next weekend, the first weekend of December?
Sure is.
Holy buckets.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is Thursday.
Yeah, I knew that. We have one of our viewers that is going to be our guest with his daughters. Different than tonight. But his daughters shot a couple deer this year. And, they're getting into hunting. And I thought it would be kind of cool to talk to the girls to see what was their experience. We've been talking multiple shows in a row where the hunters are down. So we need to start getting the youth involved, and he's getting both of his daughters involved in hunting, which I think is fantastic. So whenever that is coming up, and I've got, I don't know how many, 2 or 3 or 4 different guests that are kind of finally getting back to me. So hopefully we'll have a lineup of some guests soon. And yeah. So with that said, for Cass and Camo, I'm Todd.
And I'm Eric.
And we'll see you guys next weekend. Bye. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Yep.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Yep.